So very good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. We're delighted to be talking to you this morning around our SIEM proposition with our good friends from Microsoft. We're going to be talking obviously about the product that sits within Microsoft Azure. I'll just do the introduction. So my name is Matthew Slorick, and I'm the Managing Director of CDW here in the Middle East and Africa. And I'm delighted to be joined today by Rami Ismail from Microsoft, who is a cloud security architect. And later in this presentation, he'll actually be doing some live demonstrations. And I encourage you to make the most of the Q&A both during the event. You should be able to click on the chat box in your menu and see on the right-hand side of the screen a Q&A question tab, a little chat box. So feel free to log your questions as we go along, and we'll do our best to answer them either by virtue of the presentation or towards the end of today. And obviously anything that's left over will ensure that we will get back to you at the close of the presentation. Also, just to let everybody know that a full copy of the presentation today will be emailed to all of those who have registered online and attended. So thanks very much for joining us. I'm going to give you a very quick view of CDW for those of you who've joined and don't know who CDW is. Apologies to those of you, and thank you once again for joining, who've seen this maybe not only once but a couple of times. So please bear with me and try not to point out any obvious errors. CDW is a US headquartered organization based in Vernon Hills, Illinois, just outside Chicago. We're a NASDAQ quoted company. The ticker symbol is CDW. For the year 2019, posted gross revenues of $18 billion. $6 billion of that was with the US federal government. And a considerable amount was also with a US public sector. That's a very high focus of ours in North America. Outside of North America, we're in excess of a $1 billion organization with offices in the UK, Ireland, the Netherlands, here in the Middle East, South Africa, India, Hong Kong, Singapore, and also in Sydney, Australia. So we consider ourselves to be a truly global VAR. Two obvious exceptions to that at the moment is Russia and the former Soviet states, and also South America, but they are both ambitions of ours in the future. Our total workforce is just a shade over 10,000 co-workers globally. Probably the more important figure to think about is that more than half of those are in service roles, either in call centers, network operation centers, or frontline customer engineering and consultancy roles. So we want to keep that mix very much in terms of how we deliver our services to our customers. Very important to us, and certainly one of what we would consider to be our sort of chef special sauce. In terms of our relationship with Microsoft, we have a $4.5 billion global relationship. Over $1.5 billion of that is in cloud and IoT services. And we've obviously, as you'd expect, put a lot of our strategic direction into partnering with Microsoft around Azure Cloud, about the Intelligent Cloud, Office 365, and of course talking there about all of the other pieces of R&D that Microsoft has done, and why we believe that their cloud, their business cloud, is certainly the most advanced and offers the most value to our customers. We spend a lot of time investing in making sure that we have the right accreditations and that we're an approved data center partner, particularly here in the UAE, where we have two Microsoft Azure data centers. Moving on, CDW really like to talk about themselves as being an IT solutions provider across the entire spectrum of both infrastructure and vertical industries. So from that graphic, you can see that we look at multiple vertical industries from medical, oil and gas, across central business, retail, hospitality. So we are pretty much vertically agnostic, and we also try to be technology agnostic when it comes to whether in the data center, whether you have your own private cloud delivery, whether you have a hybrid cloud delivery, or indeed a totally public cloud delivery. We recognize that everybody will be adopting some sort of multi-cloud delivery moving forward, and it's our ambition to be the partner of choice for multi-cloud delivery moving forward. Thank you. So in terms of a sort of approach to technology, CDW like to keep things relatively simple. We try and keep things in silos. We have partnerships with in excess of 2,000 vendor organizations, but we do try and make sure that we are accredited to the highest standards for what we consider to be the best of breed vendor organizations to allow us to bring truly collaborative solutions to our customers. So particularly when we look at what we're seeing as being the new normal, which is making sure that our co-workers out there have client devices from the best, the tier 1 product manufacturers in the world, through to collaboration, which has become hugely important over the last 3 months or so. We have spent a lot of time working with Microsoft around the Teams platform, together with people at Ribbon and Poly around extending voice services. Then we look into the network space, and we're obviously partnering with Cisco there, and making sure that we've got other traffic vendors such as Barracuda, Fortinet, and so on. When we come to our cloud optimization platforms, we're very much thinking about working with VeloCloud from VMware, and the usual players such as Riverbed, Cisco, and ForcePoint. Today, obviously, we're very delighted to have our friends from Microsoft to talk about Azure and the security Sentinel product. We also obviously work with other vendors that have point solutions that we believe can further secure your delivery of applications to remote workers, as well as obviously office workers, but adopting a cloud approach. When you work with CDW, what we're really trying to do is to develop a customer lifecycle relationship with you, and that really means that we want to start as a trusted advisor by bringing those best of breed products to you, and that might be in the way of a POC or just a simple technology assessment opportunity where you may have shortlisted a number of brands. We're happy to get involved in trying to do proof of concepts. We're trying to get involved in doing technology requirements capturing and aligning that with your business requirements. Once you move to the next stage, we also make sure that we've got the right people in the right place to allow you to do implementations that are on time, within budget, non-disruptive, typically out of hours, and that's where we find that we have a great deal of expertise. Once you've implemented a piece of technology, probably the most challenging thing for most IT professionals is making sure that we hit those business objectives and that the technology is adopted in order to make the business either more efficient or deliver the application that's going to deliver best value to our end users. And that's where we spend probably more time than other organizations who would be considered our competitors, is that we really want to make sure that the adoption process is undertaken so that the IT business is able to deliver real value to the business, and making sure that those ROI milestones are hit. And then finally, our overall strategic goal, I guess, is going to be around managed services and how you manage that technology moving forward. Our business was started 25-30 years ago, and a lot of our legacy customers are based on managed service contracts in their data centers. Clearly that's starting to change. That technology is moving to the cloud or multiple clouds, as I mentioned before, and our ultimate goal is to be your managed service provider in the cloud environment. So we will absolutely be making sure that we publicize the managed services in the cloud that we have, and helping hold your hand through that lifecycle journey, as I mentioned. That's it. That's a 5-minute overview of CDW. I'd like to hand over to our friends from Microsoft, and over to you.
Thank you, Matthew, and good morning, everyone. I hope you all are doing good and doing well, and you are safe during this time. My name is Rami Ismail. I'm a cloud solution architect for security and identity as part of MIA OCP team. The OCP team is the one commercial partner team, is the big team in a big organization inside Microsoft, helping to integrate and empower our partners to deliver and be up to perfect level, so they deliver the perfect delivery to you as customers. So today we'll be talking about Microsoft Azure Sentinel. A quick intro about myself. I have been in Microsoft for the last 10 years between different roles in sales organizations and Microsoft consultancy services, and now I'm part of the MIA OCP team for the last 3 years. So our first slide today will be talking about the state that we are living in right now. So if we look at what we are living in right now, we are living in a digital state, and it's even being expanded right now. So you will see your data everywhere. Today, organizations are faced with the incredibly difficult task trying to protect their expendable or extended digital state from the increasing cyber threats, from the new threats that is evolving and emerging every day. The move to the cloud and the mobile workforce has pushed the border of the states of your data beyond your the boundary of your network. And even right now, with what happened with COVID-19, we are seeing more customers and more appetite to move to the cloud, which will ask for more security when it comes to the cloud. The data of the customers, your data and your user systems are everywhere. It can be on a remote office, it can be someone working from a mobile device anywhere in the world. So meanwhile, the frequency and sophistication of the attacks are growing. The attack natures right now is very sophisticated, and it's evolving every day. So we are evolving our solutions, but the attackers are evolving as well. Regardless of the size of your organization in the industry, you are a target. So don't think that you are a small customer or a small and medium customer, that if you are, that you are not a target. But honestly, most of the attacks happen to this small and medium customer because the attacker know that they will not invest into security, because security will not be their first priority. First priority will go to the productivity, and then they will go to the security. This is a challenge that all of us are struggling with within the IT industry. And it's a challenge we as Microsoft think that we have a uniquely solution to help you with. Moving to the next slide, we will see that these are the traditional SOC challenges that is happening right now. If we look at them, we will see that, for example, the sophistication of threats, as we said, high volume of noisy alerts. You may receive lots of false positive, as we call it in the SOC world, that some alerts can be, it's highlighted as alerts, but at the same time it's positives. It's not even an alert. IT deployment and maintenance, it's very, very complicated and very costly, especially with if you combine it with rising infrastructure cost and upfront investment. If you are looking to have most of the SOC solutions or the SIEM solutions, SIEM and SOAR solutions right now in the market, you need to do upfront investment. Either you buy the hardware for a couple of years, either you buy the license for a couple of years, and then you will have the running cost as well. Running cost meaning that you need to maintain or do maintenance for this hardware. You need to upgrade your hardware, upgrade and add extra storage. All of this are some of the challenges that we are seeing. We are having too many disconnected products as well. That's very important. So separate islands, separate silos, that products are used in security and they are not integrating, they are not sharing their security feeds into a single pane of glass that you can connect to. Lack of automation, not that much of automation that can, like for example, do the basic actions, for example, for a user that trying to log into a secure website or a secure SharePoint website that you are hosting from an unfamiliar device. So this is something can be automated within Sentinel, that you can immediately put this user in quarantine or ask the user to challenge user to ask him for multi-factor authentication, or ask him to re-log in, answer a phone call, whatever that you can configure. And the last point is the security skills is in short in supply in general. The SecOps mission right now of protecting organization assets is becoming increasingly difficult. Attack techniques, frequency, and complexity are evolving very fast. Security teams are under strain from the expanding breadth of defense technologies, accelerating hybrid cloud adoption, and borderless zero trust network. So all of these are the challenges that we are seeing as traditional in the traditional SOC challenges. So the cloud can help manage this complexity, or that complexity of expanding digital state. It simplifies and makes security easy to manage. Harnessing the power of cloud will set your SecOps team free of IT work or the repetitive tasks that consumes most of their time, and help them to focus on the security work with no limits. The most time that was consumed from the SecOps teams is the repetitive tasks or the repetitive alert that it comes to them. If we can prioritize, if we can group these alerts, if we can exclude the alerts that can be highlighted as false positive or not high importance, they will focus only on the important ones. Next generations of AI automation in the cloud helps to supercharge your network. It will leverage the large scale of intelligence available in the cloud and make it work for you. So moving to the next slide, introducing Microsoft Azure Sentinel. So Microsoft Azure Sentinel is a cloud-native SIEM solution, SIEM and SOAR solution. I will mention the difference between each of these. It's a cloud-native SIEM solution for intelligent security analytics for your entire enterprise. The main four tasks, the main four actions that Sentinel can do is to collect security data across your enterprise from the various data sources, then detect the threats with vast threat intelligence and AI. You can use Microsoft AI, or you can bring your AI to the equation as well, or you can integrate it into Sentinel. Then do the investigation with critical incidents guided by AI, then respond at the end. Okay, so a SIEM solution is a security information and event management, and Sentinel as well is considered a SOAR solution. Okay, so moving to the next slide, we will see that here we are seeing that Sentinel is mainly to collect data from various data sources. It doesn't have to be in Microsoft environment. Doesn't have to be on premise. It doesn't have to be in a third party, but we can collect this data from everywhere. Okay, so sorry. So collecting the data is a very important point, because collecting the data is the start point to collect the data. So we have various data sources that you can connect to. Once you connect to the data source, you start to collect the logs, which will help you to put these logs in a repository, which is the log analytics workspace inside Azure Sentinel, and build intelligence on top of it. Moving to the next slide, we will see that through Azure Sentinel, you can integrate with lots of things. We have the GitHub community, which is a security community. Microsoft, of course, acquired GitHub a couple of years back. which you can bring your own insights from, either from if you build something or you have your own, as you said, intelligent AI solution that you are using, and then integrate it into Azure Sentinel. Or you can use our security community into GitHub to see what can be done through the, and believe me, it has a lot of things, because all the experts from Microsoft are adding their new invented either APIs or playbooks or whatever that they are having inside this place. Moving to the next slide. So now I will jump into a demo. I always say that the best way to demo Sentinel is to put it in action, is to demo how Sentinel can work. So I will share my screen right now and show you Sentinel in action. Can you confirm that you can see my screen? Yes. Okay, great. So this is the Azure Sentinel dashboard. Okay, so first of all, when you to have Azure Sentinel, you need to have an Azure subscription, and you need to have an Azure Log Analytics workspace. Look at it that the Azure subscription is the subscription that you will be using to use Azure Sentinel. We said that Azure Sentinel is a cloud native SIEM solution, SIEM and SOAR solution. That means that it's mainly and basically considered a SaaS, software as a service. For all the other SOC scenarios or the SOC solution that you are, or the SIEM solution that you see in the market, you need to do, as we said, the upfront investment, buy the hardware and so on. Azure Sentinel is a cloud service, so you can subscribe. You need to have an Azure Sentinel subscription, Azure subscription, Log Analytics workspace, and then you just add Azure Sentinel to the equation. This is a live demo environment. I will guide you through a couple of things that you can see into Azure Sentinel. As we said, the first thing when it comes to Sentinel or any SIEM solution is the data connectors or the data collection itself. So to collect data is very, very important. Okay, this number here is the number of connectors that is right now available for you once you connect and subscribe to Azure Sentinel to connect to these various data sources. I will group them into 3 different categories. Okay, the first category will be the Microsoft first-party application, which is, for example, Azure Active Directory, Azure Active Directory Identity Protection, Threat Protection, Azure Security Center. You will see, of course, Office 365, which any data coming from Office 365 inside any alerts that's coming from Office 365 inside Azure Sentinel, it's for free. You will not be charged for this. One more differentiator between Sentinel when it comes to how Sentinel is charging or pricing the data. So some other vendors charge event per second or EPS. Okay, charge you per event per second, how many events you will be collecting, and then it will be ingested. Microsoft charge per gigabytes. Okay, gigabyte per day, how many data you will be uploading into Sentinel per day. As we said, first party application, and then if we look at the second part, third party application as well, which is, as you can see, we have Amazon Web Services, we have Barracuda, Checkpoint, Cisco, CyberArk, F5, Palo Alto. All of these are solutions, all of these are vendors and connectors that you have them right now ready for you to connect. These 2 connectors are very easy. These 2 types of connectors, before jumping to the third one, are very easy to connect. It's a matter of choosing the connector, opening the connection page, and then adding the credentials needed to connect to this specific connector. This is, for example, the connector for the Cloud App Security, Microsoft CASB, and you see the status that's connected, the provider, and when is the latest the logs has been collected. You will see a couple of workbooks, queries, and analytics rules. We'll talk about each one of these. What are these? And you will see, of course, here's the prerequisite to connect and everything in details. So it's very easy to connect to these two data sources. The question is, what will happen if I have a data source that I need to connect to that is not even existing here? I will give you an example, and I worked with one huge customer in UAE for this one. This customer is using Splunk as a main SIEM solution, and he is using QRadar as well. He is using two SIEM solutions, okay? And he wanted to aggregate everything that is coming from both solutions into Azure Sentinel. But right here, we don't have a Splunk or QRadar connector. So there is two universal languages for logs that any SIEM or any SOC or any log can be understandable in this format, which is syslog and common event format. Let me jump to it. That's syslog, okay, and here is CEF, common event format. These two universal languages for logs enable you to connect to literally any data source that you want to connect to, even if it's not connected here. Just to give you a perspective, when I started working on Azure Sentinel in the development days, I started working on Sentinel released or was publicly available in October 2019. I have been working on Sentinel since March 2019, so even like 7-8 months before it was released. I saw this number of connectors growing from 8 to like 12, 17, 25, 30 something, and now we reached 40. Okay, that means we are always adding connectors to the equation, like first party and third party connectors either from Microsoft or third party from other vendors. In the connector page, if you open, like for example, if you have a data source that doesn't have a connector, here you are asked to have two ways to connect. You can have a Linux box, a Linux virtual machine. We call it the log forwarder or the log collector, that you can implement either in an Azure or you can implement it anywhere else. It can be on another cloud provider, or it can be on premises as well. So you will use this Linux box to send or forward all your logs coming from this data source that doesn't have a direct connector to your Azure Sentinel. Since in Azure Sentinel, you can build the intelligence that Azure Sentinel is very important in this part. So I will jump to the second part. So now let's consider that we have connectors integrated and connected. And now we need to see what data that we are having. So if we jump into incidents, we will see here the incidents that are open right now. How many incidents are open? How many incidents are new? And you can filter as well by the severity of the incidents as well. So for example, if I want to see the high severity alerts, I select here the high severity. It will give me all the high severity alerts. From any one of these alerts that I can see here, I can just select anyone. So let's, for example, go and select this one. It's a very common one. I selected this one, but this is a very common one. Use of a malicious URL detected. So if I selected this specific incident, I will see directly on the right the link for the incident. I will see the affected entities with this incident. So there is one URL. I hover over the URL so I can see it. There is 10 IPs or 10 computers, 10 laptops, 10 devices are affected as well by this URL, and there's no accounts or hosts right now. If I want to drill down deeper to see the alert that is related to this incident, I can view the full detail of this one. Okay, it will take me directly to the log analytics workspace, to the logs, where all the logs are being stored. So in Azure Sentinel, we keep the data for 3 months retention, or retain the data 3 months for free. So whenever you are having Azure Sentinel, your data, after you collect the data, it will be maintained inside Azure Sentinel 3 months for free. For some companies, they need to have it for 6 months. Others, they can need to have it for like maybe 5 years. So you can, in Azure Sentinel, in general, you can keep it up to 23 months in general as hot data that you can build intelligent on top of it. And then after that, you can push it to like any blob storage and keep it forever. Okay, so this is the malicious URL. Okay, that caused, or the malicious alert, that the malicious URL that caused the alert, and then at the end it caused this alert to happen. As you can see, you have here all the details of the URL, the alert itself, the severity, the provider, and the dates, everything related to this alert. Jumping back to our incident, and if I need to investigate more about this incident. So if I jump to the investigation, I will see, and here's one of the most valuable things inside Sentinel. I will see this investigation graph. This investigation graphs give you the power to see what are the alerts related to this one. What are the things that maybe caused a couple of these alerts? So for example, let's see, this is the user attached to this alert. So let's see the related alerts coming from this user. Because the data is already inside the system, so it goes directly and pull the data inside from the log. So directly it pulled like 4 more alerts that is happening right now. Okay, sorry, 4 more incidents that's happening right now. If I do the same for the computer that the user has been using, okay, I will start seeing some correlation. So right now we started with this only single event, and right now we have all of these investigations or all of these incidents happening right now. So if we look at it from a timeline perspective, you will see that first it happened that a connection to a malicious URL happened, then anomalous login happened, and then suspicious PowerShell activity was detected, anomalous sign-in in multiple computers, that's the lateral movement across the environment, and then mass download started to happen. That's a typical attack scenario. And based on a single, if you remember, if we had a single incident, when we pulled a couple of alerts from inside the environment, we found that we have a suspicious URL that is already happening inside the environment. Because this one is very critical, I can dig deeper and see what's happening inside this one. So I can see everything from the start time, the time generated, the product name that captured this alert, and I can even see the service process that is running right now with this specific malicious URL and the script and the command line that is running right now. So this is a very, very intelligent way to dig deeper and correlate between the data that you are having. If you remember, one of the sophistications and one of the complications that the traditional SOC is having is the separate silos, the separate product that is not integrating. With Sentinel, you have everything connected to a single pane of glass. You can build intelligence on the data that you have collected inside your log analytics workspace, and with few clicks, you can correlate between these data and build some investigations around it. So we talked about the general overview. It gave you like some details about the events and alerts over time, how many alerts has been generated, and so on. Of course, this is a Microsoft tenant environment, so you will see that it's heavily being having active, and always they add more alerts to it to keep it active. Whereas the potential malicious events that can happen to your environment. Here inside the logs, you can see all the logs that being stored in your environment. So for example, we can run any query, like for example, let me, let's see, any query related to any query related to, for example, API service, I can just run the query and then it can pull the results if any exists. So let me select one that I know that it can have some data. Let's remove this one. Okay. Okay, so let me move to firewall. Let's see. Some application rules. Okay, so in general from here you can see all the logs that is being stored that you can build your intelligent on top of it, or the Azure Sentinel builds this intelligent on top of it. So we talked about the incidents that you have seen, and on top of it we have some workbooks. These workbooks is kind of dashboard that related to each one of the connectors that we are seeing. That for some connectors you will see that it has more than one workbook, like for example for Amazon Web Services, network activities, user activities, and so on. You have the hunting queries. I'm jumping between the topics just to cover most of them. You have the hunting queries that is now like total queries that you can use directly inside the environment. So if you click on any query, you will see it popped here on the right with the syntax. So you can play with the syntax and then run it and view the results. High reverse DNS counts, for example, you can run the query and view results for it. Jumping to a very, very interesting point as well, which is the playbooks. So we said that Sentinel is a SIEM and SOAR solution. So SIEM is a security event and information security information and event management solution. Okay, SOAR is the part when it comes to automation, orchestration, automation, and response part. So here inside Sentinel we have what we call playbooks, which we can build on top of it using the log analytics logic app designer. You can build some, let me go back to this one. You can build either you can build your own playbook, your own automation playbook. I will show you what is a playbook in 1 second. So here, first of all, you have some playbooks that is already provided for you by Microsoft. So for example, you can search by category and you can see security, or you can see all the active playbooks right now. These playbooks is like action based on a trigger. Like for example, when you receive an AS2 payload and reply within synchronous or synchronous MDN to sender. So these are playbooks that is available for you. You can just click on any one of them and use it. So let's select, for example, this one. When a new file is created in Dropbox, copy it to OneDrive. Okay, so I will use this template. It will take me directly to the Logic App Designer. Here it will ask me to add my Dropbox details, okay? And after that, it will ask me to add my OneDrive details. It's a very, very easy template as an example here. What if I don't like the template that is available here right now and I want to build my own template? If I go back again, jumping to the playbooks, I can start a template from scratch, okay? So blank Logic App Designer template, and here I have lots of things I can based on. So for example, I need to use Office 365 as my trigger, when a new email arrives, for example, okay, or when a new email is flagged in a certain way, I will select this trigger. So the email will come to which folder, the importance, some categories regarding the email, and then I add the next step. Is this a single event, or I need to make it like for each event that is happening? Okay, so I make it like a loop. Okay, so and then I add another step, and then maybe I add an HTTP response on this one, and then I add another step and another step, and then I continue building my own template to automate whatever the action that I can use. So if you remember that one of the things that is happening right now, like for example, that happens a lot, and it's always being captured, that a user sometimes log in from unfamiliar device or unmanaged device to internal website or internal portal. So you can immediately ask the user to reset his password. You can configure this using a couple of the playbooks that is available right now on GitHub. You can integrate this one into Sentinel. You can go to GitHub, download it, and integrate it into your Sentinel environment. So let me see if I want to mention any topics back here before we jump back to the presentation. So we talked about most of the important stuff here. We have, of course, we have lots of things inside Sentinel, but at least now you know what is Sentinel, what is capable of. So jumping back to our presentation, I will give back the control to Rod to share the presentation again. Okay, so Sentinel is a nutshell. As we said, you will collect the data from Microsoft services, from your on-premise infrastructure, from security solution, from public clouds, from any data source, literally any data source that you are having. And then it will give you all of this. It will give you visibility. It will give you the opportunity to analyze and detect the threats or the vulnerabilities that you're having in your environment. Investigation and hunting and automation, orchestration and response. All of these are the capabilities that Sentinel is providing. And it integrates as well with lots of other vendors. As we said, we have the GitHub community. You can integrate with ServiceNow. You can integrate with some other tools as well. Moving to the next slide, which is the action that you can do. You can start your Microsoft Azure trial right now. You can start Azure, Microsoft Azure trial, Azure tenant subscription if you don't have, which can be free for 12 months. And you can Azure to add Azure Sentinel on top of it. Okay. My advice, if you are an Office 365 user, start using it, Azure Sentinel with Office 365. Azure Sentinel, as we said, is charging per giga ingested per day. And as we said, the data is coming from Office 365 is for free. So you can start working with Azure Sentinel and start working with Office 365, ingesting Office 365 into Azure Sentinel for free. And start connecting your data sources, starting with Office 365, as I mentioned, or any other data sources that you are having in your environment. And then get your hands with Azure Sentinel. I will be happy to support you. CDW team will be happy to support you to understand more if you want. That's it from my side. I will open it for the next 20 minutes, next 12 minutes for questions. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer and support.
Thank you very much, Rami. Very detailed demo.
Thank you.
Got a bit of feedback, so I think someone could mute. That'd be great. I have quite a few questions stacking up here, so we'll try and group them into those categories that we can find. So I think so a lot is coming from Nadeem, and we'll obviously reach out to Nadeem in more detail. I think really there's a few questions around. So what are the remedy actions that Sentinel can take? I think you alluded to the fact that the playbooks actually allow you to do automated responses, but if you could just expand on that for a couple of seconds, that'd be great.
So So the actions can be anything that you can. You have lots of controls that is already integrated, or you can add some scripts that you can run it on your own as well. So there is no limitation in terms of the actions that you can do. So there is some basic actions, like for example, put this user in quarantine, or ask the user to reset password, go to the self-service password reset portal to reset his password. There is a couple of basic actions that's already available, but the limit is the sky. You can do whatever it wants. I see one very important question as well regarding Azure Sentinel, and I see that Travis answered this one, that Azure Sentinel is available in the North UE region as well. That's correct. We have Azure Sentinel in UAE. I just wanted everyone to be aware of this.
Thanks, Rami. A couple more for you. I think there's another few questions around integration, both with existing on-premise. Do I have to have my Active Directory or Exchange in Azure, or can I go 100% on-premise?
So you can go 100% on-premise. You don't need to have an Azure Active Directory, or you don't need to have your even data collector on the cloud. So look at it this way. You are using Sentinel as a SaaS, software as a service. This SaaS lives on the cloud. Your logs collected will be living on the cloud. So you have your on-premise environment, and you need somehow to get your logs to the Sentinel or the SIEM that is living on the cloud. Here we use the syslog or the common event format connectors or collectors that we showed. You have a Linux box, you can implement it on-premise. It will act as a forwarder or a collector for the logs from your infrastructure that is on-premise to Azure Sentinel on the cloud. Once the data is on the cloud inside Azure Sentinel, you can build the investigation, you can build automation, you can build the intelligence and correlation that we have showed.
Excellent, thanks, Rami. Next question, very quickly, we've got from Anas at Mina. The pricing is per gigabyte, which he assumes it excludes all 365 data. Is that both E3, E5, and regardless of the count of users? So
it has to be E3 and E5.
Okay.
For the enterprise solutions.
Okay, there was a previous question about even is it for all license? So can you use it for basic on Exchange Online and F3 licenses?
No, it has to be the enterprise solutions, the E3 and E5.
Okay, thank you. You've cleared that up. Perfect. Just looking down, there's a question here for about Splunk, or in relation to how Splunk operates. We can see predefined queries, but can you run simple queries like you can in Splunk?
Yeah, 100%. Yes, that I was trying to navigate to some of the queries that you can. For example, give me the last 50 queries, the 50 logs that was collected. So very simple queries that you'll find it inside my portal. My portal, I think there is something happening. Someone is updating something in the portal, but yes, you can run very basic queries like give me the last 50 logs collected, give me the logs collected in the last 24 hours. You can run very basic queries as well.
Excellent, thank you. Next question, does a customer need to pay for storage used and data used to ingest the logs?
So here's how it goes. So you have your Azure subscription that you are paying for, and you have your log analytics workspace that you need to pay for. Log analytics workspace is the place where your data will be living in. That's the place your data will be collected. That's the data will be retained and so on. So that's where your data will be stored, so that you will be paying for as well. An estimate, if we say that with Azure Sentinel, the average price for 1 GP ingested per day is, I would say, $1.2 to $1.6 per day. based on the data center. Of course, there is different in the pricing because there is different in the pricing between the data centers. Okay, that's available in the Microsoft Azure Sentinel pricing website. You can, and the Azure Sentinel and the Azure calculator as well. And I believe you know this. If you select a different data center, you will see different prices. So based on the data center, you will see the price for the GB ingested per day. That's the price. And then you will see the price for the log analytics workspace as well. On average, the price will be around $3.5 per day for GB.
Thank you very much. Obviously, a lot of interest in this Office 365. Another clarification. So this is from an anonymous user. Azure Sentinel can be used for Office 365 without paying anything today. So I think to clarify that question is, you're recommending people go and start using Office 365. Is it going to be 100% free, or will there be a charge for the data at the other end?
So Azure Sentinel right now, if you don't, let's imagine someone doesn't have an Azure subscription, doesn't have an Azure Sentinel, doesn't have anything. He just has Office 365. So he can go immediately and have his own Azure Sentinel, Azure subscription that is available for free for 12 months with some credit as well. On top of that, you can have an Azure Sentinel subscription. I think it will be available for 1 month. And during this 1 month, you can use Office 365 activity inside Sentinel, ingest and into Sentinel. That will be for free.
Okay, I think that clarifies that. So it's going to be potentially a mixture of offers at the moment, but there's definitely a window where it can be very low cost indeed, if not completely free. So that's good. Thank you.
So I saw a question that related to a template to estimate the data per day required. So right now, the easiest way, because you know that Sentinel is the newest member in the SIEM world, but we say that Sentinel is empowered because he is having the powerful first-party connectors that is connected to it. So for example, you know that Microsoft Threat Protection, Microsoft Advanced Threat Protection is now the leader in the Magic Quadrant in Gartner. Same applies for Cloud App Security. Same applies for different security solutions in Microsoft. All of these are feeding into Sentinel. So that's why Sentinel is getting empowered, okay? One of the things right now, one of the trends that's happening right now is that all the customers worldwide is trying to consolidate the vendors that they are working with. So jumping to your point, we have a basic calculator that is not yet finalized, like a format of an Excel sheet that you can use it to estimate GP per day. But the best way is to use an event per second calculator, because that's more accurate, and then you transfer this one to gigabytes, and then you will know how much data you will be generating, because a Windows server that is running on premise to run a file server will generate amount of logs different than a Windows server that is hosting, for example, a SharePoint website. Okay, these two will generate different amount of logs depending on the machine itself, depending on the workload, depending on the operating system or the box itself. It will generate different amount of logs. So it depends on the solution that it's hosted. So I believe that events per second will be more accurate, and then you can transfer this one very easy to gigabytes.
Excellent, thank you. I don't think we've got any outstanding questions right now. Obviously, there's a lot of interest there, and we'll follow up on that. So, as previously stated, there'll be various copies of this presentation. Obviously, the team at CDW is available to our customers for any further follow-ups. We'd be delighted to help you set up your initial trial of Sentinel. And obviously Rami and his team are available to assist where necessary. We'd like to thank you for your attention this morning. We really appreciate your support, and as always, we're always here to answer any of your questions. So stay safe, everybody. Thanks for joining, and hope to see you on our next webinar.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.